Good afternoon all. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. Brendan here over at MJog, and today we're having a look over the new piece of, an add-on to your existing MJog software, Desktop GP. We're going to be looking at how this interacts with EMIS, very similar in how it will interact with System 1 as well, but for my purposes today, we're going to be using an EMIS example of how you can take all of your instant and ad hoc messages from MJog and just make it a much quicker process. So for this, it's not just for potentially your reception teams and admin teams, but also now for your GPs as well, how they can get messages out to your patients without having to necessarily be back and forth in and out of different pieces of software. Let's have a start with how this whole MJog GP happens. I'm going to move all of this out of the way and grab myself there we go. So of course, we're all used to our normal MJog interface, as you'll all have it. Really, what the Desktop GP section does is expands on quick text. Now, quick text is a piece that's on every single installation of MJog. It also expands on with the Quick Smart for messages out to the app. But instead of you having to log into your main homepage to then start looking for your patients and going from there on in, oh, maybe I should log in a bit more regularly. In fact, that's something I'll bring up later on. So typically, yes, you've got one patient and you need to message them about a test result or something to that effect. Previously, if you're just using MJog for your messaging, you'd have logged on in and you'd go through quick text and you'd find whoever it happens to be and go through a process, filling in your numbers and sending them. We're going to take elements of that out of the system. I'm just going to shrink my MJog out of the way for a moment. I'm going to cut to the chase and show you what this really is doing. In fact, first of all, let me put our system, here we are, float on EMIS. So here I've got one of our test EMISes. It's not full of patients or appointments. It's fairly cut down, but for our purposes, it does the job. So currently I have a patient open on my screen here, my Mr. Mark Smith. And for some reason or another, I need to get a message to them. The eagle-eyed amongst you may have spotted this strange toolbar that's appeared just on the top of the EMIS ribbon here. So we've got an MJog icon and a floating head and an info box. This is what you'll find with Desktop GP. Clicking on the MJog icon will launch you into the MJog homepage, like we have here. If you're not currently logged in, so if I log out of those instances, if you're not logged in and you click on that button on EMIS, yes, it will want you to log back in first time around. We can then hide that away. But now it's all logged in, we want to be able to get a message to our active patient. And again, this can be any of the patients in your records. So I'm going to go up here and click on the little floating head. With that, the MJog software's gone off and it's read the page, it's found your patient, and it's thrown us into essentially quick text, or quick smart in this case. The system isn't just looking for the patient, it's looking for their mobile number, and it's also checking in the MJog database to see, firstly, what channels can we use to reach that patient. If you have more than just text on your system, if you have, say, email or you have smart on there as well, it will take those into account. If you only have text, then of course it'll only look for text. What it'll also do at this point, we can see poking out in red a warning that this mobile number is also in use by other patients, because of course that is a consideration that you may well be taking into account depending on what you're sending. How secure or how confidential is that number? In this case, I can see I have one other patient who has that. Maybe I don't want to send it by this method. Maybe I do. At this point, my Mark Smith here has got MJog Messenger on his handset, so it lets us use normal or the smart messaging. If they didn't, or if we don't want to use that, we have a button towards the bottom where we can switch to text. And of course, your text messages are somewhat easier to build from the ground up, but we do have the option. Now, using these can be quite simple. Of course, you can just write whatever your message needs to be and hit send, and away it goes. But this is hopefully going to be used for more than just a one-liner of give us a call, your results are in. We want to be able to use this to be able to inform patients of other services and such that they may find useful for their situation. So you may have spotted that we can select from favorites. This is nothing new. We've had favorites in Quick Text and in Quick Smart for a long time. There are some changes coming through to your MJog system as to how you could manage all that, and we're going to look at those in a moment. The key here is that I found my patient, I've got my Mark Smith, I know I'm sending it to the app, and I can pick whatever it is I need to send. So let's say, yes, I've got to cancel an appointment. It pre-fills in the template, and whatever I've already built before. I've got the options at the bottom, so I can add in coding as well. So which SNOMED or EMIS or System 1 code it is you're using, and you've got a comment space to add to that. And we can preview it to be sure that it is actually what we want to send. And we can hit send, and away it goes. It's going to tell us it's going. Now that's going to be prioritized. Now messages, which also include Quick Text and Quick Smart and all that, have a priority through the MJog servers so that they do go out as quick as possible. Absolutely, there's no kind of queuing. It goes straight from your system up to our servers and then straight out. Let's say we're doing a message where the patient responds to you as well, because of course that is part of the system. You can do two-way messaging. Now, because I don't have that phone right near me right now, I can't really display this. However, any messages that you get replies to that have come out of this desktop GP piece of the interface, our icons along the top, particularly the MJog icon, that's going to tell you a few different things. If that's sat there like it is now, just merely in red and grey, then nothing to see here. You're logged in, it's all fine, nothing elaborate. If that starts flashing red, then you're not currently logged into your MJog system, and so it can't communicate with it and it doesn't know what's going on. Have you had any replies? It doesn't know. If that icon starts flashing green, then your patient has responded to the message you've sent them through Desktop GP. That's not to be confused with the other kinds of replies you can, of course, get. Things like to your recalls and, of course, to your reminders where patients are messaging in they need to cancel. If this is flashing green, you've had a message reply specifically to something you've sent from Desktop GP. You can also have other errors pop up. Say, for instance, if it can't find a patient on the screen, if you don't currently have one active, the warning box to the side will tell you not active. It can also tell you if MJog's not logged in, or something to that effect. Essentially, Desktop GP is this. It's this new toolbar which you can attach either to EMIS, or you can also attach it just free floating somewhere on your desktop. So I can move this and I can pin it and move it around wherever I want, wherever makes most sense. The prerequisite here is that you need to have, for it to be working properly, you need your MJog software to be on and open in a web browser on your PC. Now that can be Chrome, it can be Internet Explorer, Edge, whichever one you're using, but as long as it's just on and logged in. So off the back of that, there are a few pieces I need to cover off. We're talking about our favorite templates. We're talking about how to get this DGP, Desktop GP, all installed. And for the users who are going to be using it, we probably want to manage their login details as well. As we saw when I logged in here first time round, I'd left it alone for a little while, and so it had logged me out. Now, once or twice, that's fine, but if that's going to continue doing it, that's going to become very old very quick. But we can fix that. So let's start with how would you get this? Well, first of all, to have Desktop GP put onto your account, you're going to need to speak with your account manager. Of course, we're on the end of the normal phone lines. Do drop us a call through, and they can talk you through that. Once it's confirmed as being on your system, unlike the actual core MJog software that we have, and this one with the interface that you're more familiar with, this is only installed on one PC, of course, which you access on any one in the practice. But the DGP software does need installing on each PC that you want it to be used with. So this will be all your clinicians and potentially other people as well. Towards the bottom right, we have a button for About MJog, and typically we go in here when we're looking to look for our versions and our subscription history, things like that. However, in the Software tab, a little further down, we have these MJog downloads. If you've got MJog Desktop GP here, then yes, it's on your account. Click on it, it's going to download a small package. You're going to run that. In fact, it's going to come down looking a little bit like any other kind of exe file. This in mind, you may need the assistance of your IT teams to get this installed. It depends on what Windows permissions you have. It's a very quick launch and run, and it asks one question. In the middle of the installation, it's going to ask you the address of your MJog software. The easiest way to get that will be to make sure that you have a copy of MJog ready, and you grab a copy of the web address, be machine name or an IP address with / and MJog display. Copy that, you paste it into Desktop GP, and a couple of seconds later it's ready to go, and it will launch the toolbar. Now I'm going to pin that back to EMIS again. So down into my options, you see down in the system tray here, or notification tray as it is with Windows 10, MJog Desktop GP.exe. I can get information and such and close it off, but I can also move my buttons so it sticks to EMIS. There we go. It's going to stop it getting in the way as I go through the rest of my MJog pieces. So to get it installed, we're into our About MJog in the software section, and there's one download, and it's going to ask you for your MJog address. Like I said, that comes off of, well, this very same page that we've downloaded it from. We can cut and paste that exact URL and use that, and that'll work nicely. Of course, your users are going to need to be sure that they're not logged out, like automatically in the background. That's something we do through our settings. Change my messages and other settings. We're going into the administration section here. We can manage our users. I'm going to build a fresh one. Let's call it Doctor username. Doctor. Of course, I'd hope yours are somewhat more secure than this. Doctor1@gps.web. That's a very poor example. There we go. We need them to be able to send messages. Maybe we don't need them to be able to do recalls. We can give them read write, and they can send one-offs as much as they like. The key point here will be your user logout time. Pin that at 12 hours. Save settings. Normally that will default to 5 minutes, or maybe, sorry, 15 minutes will be the default that sets to. So yes, up that to 12 hours, and then you shouldn't have problems when it comes to, if you've left it for, you've gone for lunch and you come back and it says it's logged out again, that should cease to be the case. So we've set the user up now so that that's ready to go. But now we need to make sure we've got those templates ready. Of course, to make desktop GP run quick and to be as quick as it can be, we don't want to have to type out all these messages each and every time. So for this, we're going to be heading back into our settings. This time we're going into our template editor. And there have been some changes coming through, which you may well spot on your own MJog anytime soon, in fact. This is going to be a phased rollout across all of our customers. In our messages section, in message templates, if you've not been in here too often, you may not notice the difference. Of course, I'm in here every day, so every difference is quite noticeable. Appointments is purely just your appointment messages. We're not needing these right now. We want this section, which is called Now Reply. Now messages are the ones that go out now. They don't have a delay on them. They're the priority messages. So it also encompasses your quick text and your quick smart and such the like. What we've done is, instead of you having different tabs to go into different pages with different sections for your channels, instead we've got the name of the template, then which channels you have available for that template. Clicking on these will bring up a preview of it. So there's my one for the appointment cancellation I just sent. I've got one for text as well, for those patients who don't have the app. Let's say I need to tweak this one, for instance. I'm also going to make sure that this is a favorite for all my users, or maybe just particular users, because that's something else we've managed to do. If you've been using quick text before, then you might have already started doing favorite templates. Previously, they were favorites to all users. Now you can make it particular. So if you've got different teams that have different responsibilities, they can have different messages set which are most relevant to them. So let's say I need to tweak this cancellation and get it ready for a team. Maybe my doctors need to use it. So I'm going to edit it first. This has changed. It used to be you'd go in and you'd edit one template and you'd save it and you'd go back to that previous page and you'd go into another page and you'd start the text one, but not this time. It's opened us up on our smart message. We can tweak anything we need to here, but if we go into text, just on the side, here it is. So there's our template that we already have. And again, I want to change this out. Instead of "we will contact you," please call the practice on contact number to rebook. Yeah. So our template editors have just made it so you can transition between your channels a little easier. Remembering, of course, to save any changes you make. And I want to favorite that. I want to have that so it's ready on our doctor's login in case they need to tell someone about their not happening appointments. So again, we've got our down arrow next to edit. Favorites for particular users. So let's unfavorite that. If I hadn't been in here and tweaked this before, both these favorites would just be grayed out. The top favorite will make it favorite for all. Every user will have that in their drop-down list. Or we can have it particular for users. So if I go into favorites for particular users, we can say which one it is. So I want my doctors to have this one. I'm going to save that. Just to prove that, I'm going to go back to my home page. I'm currently logged in as, well, not doctors anyway. So if I go into quick text and I start looking up a patient, there we go. I don't have that template anymore. If I jump on out and again, I could be using messages to the app through Quick Smart, or I could be doing text. In either case, in I go. Find the patient, and there's my appointment cancellation template. And again, I can get that coded, and I can hit send. Now you can have as many groups and as many different users and favorited templates as works for you. And you can assign them to as many different people as is necessary. Now, as it happens, that very much is the simplistic way of looking over at what Desktop GP is all about. It's an install you install it to each PC, of course. I did mention that. I think there's a question that's come up about that actually. So yes, you may well need IT on board for that. But you install it onto whichever PC it happens to be. It creates this floating toolbar, which you can either attach to EMIS, or you can have it so it's constantly on the top of, where have I gone? There we go, move buttons, float with EMIS. There we go. You can have it so it's floating around at the top of your page all the time. For my angle, I'd say it's probably best to have it pinned to EMIS because you know where it is. And of course, you're using this to message a particular patient. Again, I can change my patient if I like. So there we are. So different patient, I need to message them. Click on the little floating head. Here I am. In this case, that number isn't in use by anyone else. It's only for Mr. Simon Apple. I'm logged in as doctor, so I can use my appointment cancellation template, and if I can send that to the app, superb. I could switch that over to text, but if they've got the app, I want to send it to that. So send, and away it goes. Now, with all that in mind, I'm just going to have a quick look up and see what kind of questions we've had in. What can I deal with you? Okay, if you get a message back and you're not logged on, who gets told? If you're not logged in and a message comes back, then all your replies for MJog, as with the other replies you get in, will sit in an inbox on the homepage. Now, if you're logged in and you've got Desktop GP running on your EMIS system, then if you click on the green alert when it comes up, then it will send you into this inbox, but it will be filtered. It'll filter out only responses pertinent to that Desktop GP incident. At this point, if I log in and I've just come in through the home page, I've logged into MJog, go into the inbox. In here, I could have all my cancellations and I can have all the responses to my recalls and such, as well as any other ad hoc responses to messages. But if I'm doing it from the EMIS interface, I'm jumping into MJog from this button in my new toolbar, then yes, the inbox will be filtered. If you're not looking at it at the time, it's going to sit there and wait until someone comes and finds it. Got a question here. Can we get help to download this from MJog if you have permissions from IT? As long as you've got permissions from IT to install a piece of software, you're going to be fine. You can absolutely call us up if you like. Let me see if I can kind of show you. Like I said, I've got permission, or have I? I'm going to hope I've got permissions on this, and I'm soon going to find out. So about MJog, into software. Going to download this little package. See, that's popped up down the bottom here. I'm just going to run it. Theoretically. Oh, it's still waiting to done. Open when done, please. Oh, I'm doing well here. There we go, ready to install. So here's the entire process. I've downloaded it, I've hit go, install. It might well now find it's already installed, but I'll find out there. Yeah, here it is. So I've got a couple of bits. Never mind that. Keep going. You won't have that. If it's your first installation, you won't have that pop up. You will have this though. It's going to extract all the files out and get itself prepared. And there's going to be a pop up in a second. Like I say, it's going to want to know about this link. So I'm going to copy this off of my web browser. We're going to leave that to keep running for a moment while it sorts itself out. You said that if the patient replies to a text, will MJog take you straight to the patient's record, which relates to the text? It won't take you direct to the patient record. It'll take you, so you're in your system here and you've hit your desktop GP button, it was flashing green, it will launch you into your inbox. It won't send you back into EMIS, it won't send you into care history, for instance. It's going to put you into here. Do you have to have the patient open to get the alerts? No. As long as you've got your MJog system logged in, you don't have to, because of course you'll be going from one patient to another regularly. So no, absolutely. If you get any response to any of the messages you've sent out through desktop GP, it's at that point it will give you the green icon at the top. I have a pop-up here from setup, completing. Oh, it's already found it. Brilliant. So I'll have to remember this for next time webinar comes around. I will have to uninstall my desktop GP first. The one thing I wanted to show was the prompt it brings you to say enter a web address. Again, you enter the web address and that's the final thing it does, and it gives you a complete option. You complete it and voila, we have our toolbar at the top here, and in our system tray we have our other icons as well. Safe for me to work on there. Right, I'm going to have to expand my questions bar and just see how many of these I'm getting through. Some of them are repeated, so if I'm not saying the exact wording you came through with, chances are it's someone else said something similar. What happens if someone is covering for the GP, they don't normally go into MJog? Then they won't see it. Again, I mean, your MJog system is a two-way system all the time. It's not just specifically for these desktop GP messages. Many of you are probably going to have it where patients are messaging you back regarding their appointments, for instance. And if they're doing it by text, if they don't spell cancel correctly, or they put a paragraph in front of the word cancel, it's not going to do the job. To that end, sites should be monitoring their inbox on a semi-regular basis, I'd say daily, in the same way you don't avoid your email for a fortnight at a time. This should be checked. I mean, again, it's a two-way messaging services. It's not completely unheard of for patients to just randomly message you something fairly critical out of the blue. So again, it does need monitoring. Is a copy of the message saved in the patient record? Absolutely can be. Absolutely. So if I reload, so I'm going to send a message here to my Simon Apple. And switch between what channel I want to use. I'm going to use text this time. Message in here. Or again, I could template it. I can specify a code that I want to use with it. And I can also tell it that I want to use the body of the message as a comment. Now, if I hit send, then that's absolutely going to code all of that in, so I'll have in, it won't do it instantly. It does take 5-10 minutes for this to pull through, but yes, my patient would then have a code of which I've picked, and in the comments it will say message here. Now, thank you for reminding me of that, because I was saying about favoriting templates and completely forgot. I'm going to maximize this out again. Oh, I'm in the wrong login. I need to get back into a administrator login. There we go. In our templates, I'm going to go back into my now messages. So here's my appointment cancellation one again. When we're changing and we're adjusting and generally fettling with our templates and making them favorites and whatnot, we can also now attach a code to a template. This has been asked for quite some time. Now, for things like big recalls, you may want to be a little more careful with that. For instance, flu recalls, you have those different codes for first, second, third invite. You may not want to put a fixed code to those. But in this instance, absolutely, I can attach whichever SNOMED, or depending on your circumstances, EMIS or System 1, it supports the lot, whichever code you want. And with the app, we have to give it a code. So in this case, it will be appointment cancellation. I can do the same for text. Again, I want to put a code in for that. And I'm going to use the message as a comment. So again, it's going to put the actual body of the message. In fact, better than that, if you look at it in green, that's how that would come out in their care history. I'm going to save those changes. And yes, by putting the coding in here, in your template editors, it's assigned. And so next time I go to use it, I don't have to do that again. Where was it? Oh, in my wrong user again. I should have just made that a favorite for all, or just assigned it to more users. There we are. There's my appointment cancellation template, and it's ready to code. So again, we're just trying to make it so that you can go from being in a patient record, find whoever it is, tell it you want to get a message to them. Try that again. That's more like it. I need to tell them no appointment for you, sir. Coding's ready. We know it's for the app. We do also know that we've got another patient with that number, but we can get that sent. Compared to going through the traditional way through MJog with quick text and going through the homepage and so forth, we've been reducing clicks so that you can spend more time doing the bits you want to be doing. Got a question here. Will the MJog app tell us if the patient does not have a mobile number? Well, not as such. Well, actually, yes, it will. What'll happen is if you press on a patient who doesn't have a number, let's see if I can get an example. Has this patient got a number? I'm going to click to find out. This is what we get. Warning, there is no available way to contact this particular patient. So yes, of course, we can only use numbers that are available in your clinical system. We look in home, work, and mobile. Of course, there's different levels of consent and such, depending how you're managing that. But yeah, if there's no number which MJog can use, it will tell you. You can send documents to a patient via. Okay, there's another question here saying about sending particular documents to the patient, and yes, you can. You can send, if you can type it, you can text it. And if you can make hyperlinks, then you can send various links off to patients by text. On top of all that, you've got, of course, all the smartphone templates, and they don't have to just be like my original example. Let me find a better one. Just trying to find some good examples of them. It depends on what you're trying to send. So you can send all sorts of awareness forms and links and such the like out there. It all depends on what you want to be sending. Again, it's different people want to send different bits. I can't cover all scenarios today. What's this here? Information about quitting smoking. And then you can send them off essential links. Documents. It depends on how you're sending it. It depends on how confidential those documents are. Essentially, if you can type it, you can text it. And you can also send stuff out through the app. That does take a little bit more fettling to make them nice and pretty, but you can certainly use those.